Hello, welcome. As always, it's a pleasure for us to be here together learning and applying what we learn to our lives. And most important thing is you have to think about your children. Do you love your children? If you made these mistakes in these areas, then why are you not telling them and learning and teaching or at least sharing these videos with your children? At least they have the answer. Whether they use it or not, that's not up to you, but at least they have the answer. So today we're going to discuss about what is a wife material. I hear that quite a bit. I'm a wife material. This is what I do. And there's a big, huge misunderstanding what a wife material is. So let's get into it. Some women believe wife material mean I cook, I clean, I'm a boss bee, I have my own job, I have a PhD, I have a butt lift, a leg lift, a hip lift. I have all these things. I go to the gym, I stay in shape, I'm going to school, and I have been promoted. I'm making 10, 20, 50 figures, whatever that may be. So they believe the material and the physicality makes them a wife material. If that were true, then why would men go out and marry women who have absolutely none of these things? They go to another country, they possess none of these things. Some of them. Why would they chase them? Because first you need to understand what a wife material is. Wife is defined by God. Okay? Wife is defined by God. It has nothing to do with what men say wife material is. Wife material is defined by God. And what God says a wife material is, the number one thing a woman need and must understand is modesty. That is the number one thing God wants and uphold a woman for, modesty. Modesty means the way you carry yourself, the way you dress, the way you speak, the way you act, the way you conduct your entire being. Modesty. To understand what that really means, I'm going to use two examples. Let's look at Queen Elizabeth. Look at Queen Elizabeth. How do you see she carry herself? Now, a lot of you like to call yourself a queen, but do you carry yourself like Queen Elizabeth? Do you do that? Do Queen Elizabeth is on TikTok showing her butt, showing she's at the gym, she's working out, or she's on the beach, or she's eating lobster, or eating this and that? Is she posting any of these things? Because that's a woman that's modest. A modest woman does not post this kind of garbage. Matter of fact, a modest woman does not make herself seen. There's attracting and attractive. A modest woman is attractive. She does not attract people. Attracting. She's not attracting people. Because why? She keeps a low profile. Because why? That's modesty. So if you look at Queen Elizabeth, even though she has to be in the public eye, but you see how she carries herself with modesty. Now that's the modern day modesty of a woman, to give you a better idea. If those of you don't know what Queen Elizabeth looked like, go and Google her and see how she carries herself. But to understand in God's eyes what the definition of modesty is, let's look at Abraham and Sarah, his wife. Now, imagine a man has been with his wife almost 100 years. 100 years. And when he was going into, I believe, I'm not sure what country that was, thinking it was Egypt, I'm not sure. But there, he was afraid that they would kill him. He told her, tell them you are my sister. Because at that country, they would kidnap a woman that was single, because the king says, any woman you see that's beautiful, bring her to me. That was the law back then. But what happened? By accidentally, he saw 1 inch from the dress from her ankle, his wife's ankle. He saw 1 inch from his wife's ankle, and he says, I never knew how beautiful you are. What? What do you mean? Think about what I just said. Almost 100 years of a woman, and this is the first time you notice just a little piece, skin shown from the dress that raised up 1 inch away from her ankle and you saw her skin and you did not notice how beautiful she was, what does that tell you? It tells you how modest women were back then. Because that's why, now you say, well, oh, that's ridiculous, that's this and this. But guess what? Do you have a son called Isaac? Do you have a man like Abraham? Do you have a son like Isaac? No. Because you have to understand, modesty is what brings holiness. And that applies to men as well. You cannot be holy without being modest. It's impossible to be a holy woman without being modest. It's impossible to be a holy man without being modest. So the way a woman carry herself, the way she dress, the way she speak, and on top of that, and you're wondering, a man, to go further, a man, the only person who allows to see his wife's hair is the husband, not even the children. This is why the women would wear these scarf or over their head, cover their hair. Women back there, even their children did not know the color of their mother's hair because these women covered up, because that's what it means to be modesty. You are only allowed to show your beauty to your husband only. I will say again, your beauty is only allowed to be seen to your husband. So when you're sitting there, you're saying you are wife material. How far are you from this, what God says what a wife is? This is the definition of wife material in the Bible. You're not going to rewrite it. You're not going to change God's mind. It doesn't matter what year we're living in. This is the definition. It stands for eternity. Why? Because modesty brings holiness. That's the only way Abraham and Sarah was able to bring Isaac into the world, because of the modesty. There's a story in the Bible. It talked about this woman. She had 10 children. Every one of those children was almost perfect children. And they asked her, how did you manage to imagine you bring 10 boys, perfect boys. Their soul were perfect. How is that possible? Because she says this, the walls, the bathroom, they never saw me nude. When she changed her clothes under the blanket in her bedroom. Remember, she gets under the blanket to change clothing. You see? So when you understand, when a woman is cautious about the way she carry herself when it comes to modesty, God will reward you with the right man and the perfect children. Those of you who are struggling with children and having issues is because you were not in a modest way when you brought children into this world. God says, I will give you according to the way you behave. I will give you the man according to the way you behave. I will give you the children according to the way you behave. You see that? So when you think about modesty, I know we've been lied to. That's the whole point of all these videos, is we've been operating our lives according to a lie. This is why we failed. This is why we don't have, we're wondering what went wrong. What's wrong with my son? What's wrong with my daughter? What's wrong with my husband? What's wrong with my wife? Why is this not working? Why am I alone? And I get upset because men are no good or women are no good. Well, guess what? We've been operating with wrong information. And because we have wrong information, we brought wrong children, bad soul into this world. We produced children that should have been beautiful children, like Isaac. Those are the kids we should have brought into this world, those type of children. But because we're thinking that we know more, we can turn things, make things happen the way we want to, or what we want, what we desire, what we think is good, this is what we ended up with. You know, it's sad to see you spend 60, 70 years in this world, 80 years, and you have really nothing to show for except disappointment and sadness. Is it too late? It is not too late, ladies and gentlemen. I'm still working, refining myself to be the best version of me I can be. So when the time does come, I'm already prepared. I'm there. And this is what you should do. That's not what you need to do, is what the world is telling you. Change, because eventually you're going to meet your maker. You have to tell them what you did to become a better you. See you next time.